Right, today I'm joined by the Scottish Ultra Trail champion. Is that right? Robbie Dunlop.
Aye.
And Robbie, you've just won the Cateran Trail. How many times have you done the race?
I've completed the race now 3 times. Started at 4. So
And improving every time?
yeah. So I've managed a PB today, 5 minutes from my 2019 time, and I had improved an hour from the previous time that I had done it that second time. Yeah.
Going back from that, can you tell me how you first started off in running?
Yeah. So I've not always been a runner. It was always like I was a football daft when I was growing up and thought I would be the next, whatever, footballer. And it wasn't until after my university days that started sort of using running as a sort of way to kind of de-stress, and we had a couple of things going on in my wife and I's lives that just meant that sort of I needed sort of that headspace. And then it was we spent a year travelling around Australia and just seeing that sort of really outdoor active lifestyle that everyone was leading just really motivated me to sort of like want to be part of that and have that as part of my life. So when we moved back to Scotland, that we made a promise to ourselves that we would sort of be active, be outdoorsy, and sort of just like grasp lots of opportunities. And I just sort of fell into running, and you have fallen in pretty deep.
So how did you get a coach? You got a coach now? How did that progress?
So when I first started, I had joined I did a few races just as people do, just for a bit of fun. I signed up for a few marathons. I've always kind of been a type of person that like I've wanted to do things that for me, were quite difficult and quite hard. So just starting running and then doing a marathon seemed like the sort of impossible task. And then I joined my local club, who I'd still currently run for, the Dundee Roadrunners, and they were great. Just lots of really experienced, lovely people that sort of gave me pointers. All of a sudden, there was structure to my training. And then sort of fast forward a few years, I've tried coaching a couple of times, and it's great. It's really motivating. I love like using the different formats online where you can tick off and see your runs, and you know the structure of what's to come. But I think just for me, I think the type of personality I am, and the fact that I've got a young family, I think just being able to be in control of my own structure, and I also fundamentally actually just enjoy putting the training together myself as well. So although it was really good, really enjoyed it. I think just now for me, I just organise my own training for now.
Good. You said when you first joined a club, they give you pointers. Can you think of what was the most important pointer that you got given?
So I definitely fell into that category when I first started running. That every run was just like all out, snot flying everywhere, coming home, and if I wasn't absolutely exhausted, then I didn't feel like I'd worked hard. And just when you go along to the club and they've got like the tempo session and the reps, and then everyone's talking about these easy runs in between. I think the biggest change or introduction to my running at that point was just to actually run easy when you're not doing like specific sessions.
Yeah. What would you class as easy?
So like now this stage today.
Yeah.
So I'm quite a creature of habit. I'm really lucky. I've got like some woods in Camperdown. I live just outside Dundee, so I've got Camperdown Country Park on the doorstep. And for me, it's I do a lot of like heart rate and sort of like on field training. So just maybe keeping an eye on just making sure the heart rate's really low. Coming back from my run and feeling just like energized rather than tired. And at the moment, that might be like a 10k run, or it might even, if I'm doubling, it might even be shorter. It might just be like a little 4 mile sort of 7-8k run type thing.
You said you raced to do to achieve something that would be seen as impossible beforehand, and you've obviously trained to get to that. What makes something impossible, and what's your next impossible thing that you're aiming for?
I've always been someone that's like I'm quite an overthinker, so I've always sort of like doubted my abilities. So although I mean, even coming along to the Cataran today, like I've done the race, you know, on a couple of occasions already. I set myself maybe like a target that makes me really think, and I'm nervous but excited about it. And I kind of just it might, to some people it might not be like the longest distance, or I'm not trying to run the fastest, but for me it's just taking that like next step. Try not to bite off more than I can chew, I suppose. Just trying to have a natural progression. And after today, I'll be doing my damnedest to recover in time. I'm down to do the Best Highland Way in 5 weeks. After taking part for the first time last year, I'm going back.
And I'll not ask about any secrets, what's your targets and whatever, because that is confidential as far as I'm concerned. You can tell me afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. What shoes were you wearing today?
So I used Ultra, and I use Ultra most just all easy for me to say, exclusively now. I've actually got quite like a wide forefoot on my right foot, and I used to get really annoyed. Like, you'd spend the money on the trainers, and then I just was bursting out the right side. And my wife actually was the one who pointed out, like, maybe these Hobbit Gollum feet that you've got could do with some a wider fit. So I'd had a wee research online, found Ultra, and I just haven't looked back.
Yeah.
I think I was wearing Hoka for a while, so I was already wearing like 4 mil drops. So it actually, the progression down to zero dropped. I've been okay so far, and I mean, I've been running in them for a few years. The Lone Peaks are just they're just my favourite.
Well, we're not sponsored by anybody. I happen to be wearing Ultras, but that is coincidental. So yeah. What about nutrition? What today's race? How did you get that going?
It was going really well. So I've been training. That's one aspect of my training that I've actually really been working on. Last year at the Fling in the West Highland Way, I didn't have issues as such, but just science has evolved, and all of a sudden, they're hearing of people that are taking in like up to like 100 grams of carb an hour. So I've been really focused on sort of taking up to sort of between let's just say 80 grams roughly an hour. And that's an increase from what I was doing before. So lots of training doing that. So gels, lots of Haribo. I've been keeping their stocks really high this year. The is it Luchos? It's like a little it's like a sugary sort of like guava bar that my friend got me onto. They're really good. So like, it's solid, but it's really soft, kind of melts in your mouth. So I just try and alternate. Had a couple of caffeine gels today, and some active root as well, and a few salt tablets, because I was finding it a bit hot and cramping a little bit at times.
Yeah, it is. With wearing sunglasses, it is rather warm today. You said you've started the race 4 times, completed it 3 times. What makes you keep going back to this race? And you've obviously been running for a long time, so how do you keep running for so long?
So I just love this race. Like, it was the second race ultra I did. It was the first one I actually signed up for back in 2017. And I'm sure you'll remember that year yourself. You did very well.
Yeah.
I was nowhere near you. You were one of these elite sort of front runners that I was trying to chase down. And just the people, like George and Karen obviously organised it at the time, and just getting a chance to speak to people in the community. It was just the small field. I loved coming along, and the fact that everyone just had time for everyone, and it just got me hooked. And I've not looked back since. I've really been focusing on the ultras kind of since. I don't know what gets me. I, I just love. I can switch off. I actually find running the one time where I don't have to think. I'm a primary school teacher, so like, you don't really get a lot of time to yourself during the day. There's always people like obviously needing you, and then at home now, I've got my daughter who's 2, and I want to, and then she needs a lot of time from me as well, and I just find it's like me time, and I've managed to. I'm not like an overly spiritual person at all, but I actually find that like I can switch off, and I can just go into some sort of like state of just sort of like, I don't know, just sounds really corny, but like happiness. I don't, you know, I don't know. You just kind of switch off, and
you've got your own reasons to do it, and that's your reason, so that's why you do
yeah.
it. Is there anybody? Two questions. Is there any race on your bucket list? Any race that you really want to do?
I, I quite like. I'm going to work my way around some of the other ultras that I've not done in Scotland, and I'd quite fancy probably. I mean, I don't know. I'm not just with family. Like it's not. I'm not very good at forecasting. I'm not able to forecast maybe ahead. But I maybe like to go down and do the Lakeland.
Yeah.
Maybe. Not decided if I just want to jump straight into doing the 100. Maybe going to get a bit of advice from people that I've went down, because I know it's like pretty different to anything that's up here in Scotland. So quite do fancy in Lakeland, and like the UTMB like doesn't actually appeal to me. It actually just like it just seems like too busy. I'll probably sign up for it. Try and sign up for it next year now, but but I have to admit, now that I really think about it, I probably want to go and do the Western States, like the Western States, like all the documentaries, and every year there's all the excitement on Twitter, and I follow it, and I just like in pure awe. I suppose I'd like to maybe go and give that a try one year.
I've done 3 out of the 4 of the races that you just mentioned there, so we'll maybe have a chat afterwards. Next question. Is there any person, fictional, live, whatever, that you would want to run with?
Oh god, that's a really good question. I'm not sure. Like as I said already, like I'm quite reflective and sort of overthinking. I love having conversations with like everyone, like you know, someone like yourself that's ran many hundreds of miles in races, thousands probably. I just love love hearing people's stories and tapping into all their knowledge. But if someone that I'd actually like to run with, I'm not sure on that one. No, okay. You've stumped me there. I'm not really. Yeah, sorry, I'm not sure.
Right. What was the first race that you've ever done?
When I was at university, I did the Angus Half Marathon, drunken sign up with some of the people from university, and it was just like so hard. I'm not sure if we were out the night before or something, but it wasn't the sort of athlete's preparation that I would maybe sort of describe what I tried to attempt now. Yeah, I was just so hard.
Have you been back and done it again?
No, I've not actually. No, so that'll need to. My really poor PB from there. I'll need to go and because it's obviously local as well, so I'll need to go and settle that score.
When you're running, not including races, but just normal general training, do you listen to anything? Podcasts, music, or nothing at all?
So, interestingly, today I actually didn't listen to any music today, which is really unlike me. Usually, like, listen, especially when I'm racing, especially if I'm on my own, I'll sort of tune into some tunes and music, just to get me going. But on a day-to-day basis, I actually listen to a lot of audiobooks. So either if I'm not listening to books, I'll listen to like lots of podcasts. And it's great. There's so many like amazing, brilliant podcasts just now.
Like this one.
This is the number one. So I make and then there's like Young Hunts Run Free, and the British Ultra Running podcast, and
running shorts.
There's loads. I could name loads, and some news ones and things like that.
If you forgot any, sorry, you didn't mention us. So.
Sorry.
Right. Road, treadmill, or trail?
Oh, trail, 100%. I actually run exclusively on trail now. I'll obviously run on roads like for link up and things like that, but I've totally just converted to trail. Yeah, I think I might as the year goes on now actually maybe try my hand at some road races actually, because I bought my first set of carbon plated ultras a couple of months ago, and yeah, boys, they are fast. So I enjoyed wearing them in some training, like longer sort of like threshold tempo training runs. So I might give that a go. But
what makes them fast? I've never worn carbon, so sell them to me.
So I hadn't worn carbon until a couple of months ago. So it's the the under there's like a I'm not gonna I mean anyone who's like a shoe geek here is gonna just like have their hands in their head because I'm gonna explain this in sort of like simpleman terms. So the carbon plate's at the front, and it's almost like at the underneath the sort of like the ball of your foot. It's like rounded. So when you are hitting, you're almost propelled forward because if you land on your forefoot on that carbon plate, that takes the shock, and it's almost like you spring. And it's not no word of a lie. It actually makes you feel like if you feel like you're getting pushed forward wearing them. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, totally. And I think I was a bit of a cheapskate. Didn't want to pay for like the expensive shoes before, but yeah, converted.
I know you said you had a young family. Uh, how do you fit in time? Do you get up at some people get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, some people run at 11 o'clock at night. What time of day do you prefer, or when can you fit it in?
Yeah, so I'm early morning, so I'd try to just be as like present with the family as possible and fitting around family, and then running. And I get up at 5 o'clock every morning, Monday to Friday. And if I'm doing doubles, so I don't necessarily get like massive runs in the morning, but I'll double up when I run at my work. I work in a town called Forfar. There's one hill near Balmashana, and I can get a good little half an hour run near it sometimes, and then I'll run do a long run at the weekend, and that could be morning, it could be afternoon, it could be in the evenings. It just depends. I've seen myself go out as late as like 11 o'clock at night, just to if we had like a busy weekend kind of type thing.
On average, what's your sort of mileage, kilometerage?
So I old school, so working miles and miles per minute, or minutes per mile. So roughly, I'll sit like in the lead up to this race, for example, we're sitting about sort of 70 miles. Peaking at sort of roughly like about 80, so like 11 hours or something, and just trying to do like lots of elevation. So the 3 weeks before the taper, like I was trying to do like I think I did 10 and a half, 11 and a half, 12 and a half thousand feet elevation. Yeah, so I lots of repeats. And I'll manage to get like some good elevation in my long runs because I've got some hills behind the house that they're not massive. Maybe like I can get maybe like a 500, 600 feet climb. So just lots of repeats of that.
Going back to nutrition, have you ever bonked either in a training run or in an event?
Do you know, I've been really lucky. So I've never like bonked from a nutrition point of view. I've bonked or like I've been in so much pain, or I've had my calves have been shot. Last year's fling was an example of that. Calves were just absolutely done in, lots of cramping. But yeah, I've been really lucky actually. Yeah.
What about running injury? What's the worst injury you've had?
So the worst injury I've actually had that kept me out running was actually in November last year. I actually fractured my rib from coughing. Well, obviously got little weak ribs, and it was misdiagnosed. So I actually didn't find out until January that it had been fractured. That had really curtailed training. So I tried to run thinking it was something else, and then it was getting sore again. So I'd say from November through to January, I really didn't have like a good winter block this year, and that was one of the reasons why I came along here today. Actually, as part of my preparation for the SLMA, just to get a big training stimulus as well as an all-out sort of race effort.
Leading up to this race, either first thing this morning or in the last week, have you got any rituals that you would? I must put on my left sock first, that type of thing.
I mean, I do. I mean, I'm like everybody else. Like you just like can't stop thinking about the race and the lead up to the race and overthink it. I've noticed what I do is when I've got a map of the route, I will sit in bed at night and look at all the sections and then visualize running those sections because if I've done and usually I'll try and get a recce of the routes, so I'll try and sort of visualize and always try and think about what it looks like when things like when the shit hits the fan. Like I'll try and visualize what I'm going to do, and sometimes I'll maybe even think about like things are going really well. Yeah, what am I going to do? Yeah, if things go well.
Okay.
So
You're saying you're thinking about you can't stop thinking about the race leading up. Do you get nervous when you're racing?
yeah, so I don't really, I don't race as much as I used to. So like last year, I only raced twice, and actually this is the first race I've done since the West Highland Way last year. I was very nervous last night and quite nervous this morning. And I know that's not good. You don't want to expend all that nervous energy, but I just couldn't help it. Like I just don't know if I felt the pressure, maybe because I'd had like a couple of good results last year, or I don't know, just all you just know that people are following you back home. Yeah, I bet I was quite nervous today.
I, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think to be not nervous is to be too confident, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah, I definitely, yeah.
Do you have any running regrets?
Um, I suppose, like, I suppose in some respects, I mean, I'm only 34, so like, I'm not sitting here thinking like I've got lots of running left in me. I suppose in some respects, maybe I wish I'd maybe got into it like when I was younger.
Yeah.
Maybe can't blame anyone for that. You know, I did football and swimming, so like, parents like guided me to do what I wanted to do. But yeah, like I just wonder like if maybe I'd had that sort of speedy background, if maybe I could have, I had maybe had yeah, seen some of my times. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's not really a regret though. At the end of the day, it's just kind of an
It was your
observation.
life, so
Yeah,
it's what happened.
yeah. Did you get into running late as well?
I was 29 when I did my first marathon.
29, yeah. So like likewise, we must have been kind of roughly. Yeah, I think I was 28 actually. Yeah, so
Yeah.
kind of same sort.
But yeah, like you, I wished I did it earlier, back in uni days when you're doing other things.
Anything but exercise. Yeah.
But yeah, it's been great to chat to you, and congratulations on the win today.
Thank you very
The
much.
win of the, let me get this right, Scottish Trail Ultramarathon Championships for 2023, whatever year this is.
Yeah,
Right.
nailed it.
Thank you very much,
You're
Robbie.
very welcome. Nice speaking with you.